Hi, everyone. Welcome back to your mini Mindful Forgiveness workshop series. I'm Joey Reese, here to welcome you to week 5. It's all about self-forgiveness. Couple of things before we get started. Reminder that the daily mindfulness practice, that's where most of the magic is. Yeah. Ability to sit, calm ourselves, center ourselves, um, as a practice to cultivate our ability to be mindful throughout our day is important. I know that some of us use mindfulness techniques as an intervention. So, breathing, calming ourselves in the midst of, say, a difficult situation. So, our ability to be more mindful in those situations without those interventions is cultivated when we sit, when things are well. So, early in the mornings. So, no matter what your practice has been looking like, I encourage you to add a mindfulness practice, possibly in the morning. So we're working up to 20 minutes, but start where you are. So if it's 30 seconds, 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, then start there. And then a lot of this practice, a lot of the things that I'm asking you to think about, talk about, write about, it's important that we don't keep it all in our heads. And that what Diane Cirincione of Attitudinal Healing calls the longest trip on the planet, which is the 18 inches from our brain to our heart. So a lot of this emotional journey, um, some of us, even though we talk about feeling it, I can see that we're keeping it right here. So what does it mean to really embody those emotions and the feelings and to allow it to kind of be filtered through your body? So be curious about that. How much are you embodying? And then using your body in order to aid you in healing. So think about your mindfulness practice and then also your embodiment practice as you are approaching your final two workshop modules. So today it's all about self-forgiveness. Self-forgiveness. So in the research based on the Forgiveness Project at Stanford University with Dr. Luskin, and just kind of the areas around self-forgiveness, these are the 4 main categories that we stumble upon where we find ourselves at fault. It's easy to blame ourselves in these 4 areas. And that if we're going to be ruminating and casting ourselves as villains in our own stories, they tend to be around these 4 areas. So see for yourself um, any self-talk that you're doing where you are shaming yourself or telling yourself to do better, see if it falls within these categories. You failed at a significant life task, such as finding a meaningful career, having a successful marriage, being a good daughter or son, being a good parent. So what do you consider significant life tasks? And do you notice yourself having some sort of physical reaction as I read that first bullet point to you? Number 2, you've hurt someone because of your actions. Maybe it's overt, maybe it's neglect. But that first definition of trauma, separating somebody else from feelings of safety, yeah, either physical safety, emotional, mental, spiritual safety. So maybe it's through our words, uh, or even like separating somebody with our words from a feeling of belonging or dignity. That's what we use as a definition for trauma. Yeah, at the very beginning. So you've hurt someone because of your actions. Number 3, you've hurt yourself by engaging in self-destructive behavior like violence against self, alcoholism, drug abuse, or any other addiction. So maybe you're currently engaging in self-harm. So is this connecting with you? 4, you didn't do something you thought was important for you to do, like finish school, maintain sobriety, maintain a college fund, or for your kids, take care of your aging parents. So this is something that you deem to be important. And maybe this is a project of your culture or society or just what you've been told. But for some reason, it is within inside of you, even if you have this struggle in your mind, like it shouldn't be important, but you feel like it is important and that you haven't done it. So these are the 4 areas that come up for ourselves when we're talking about self-forgiveness. So notice if any of this comes up for you, and then write the specific wording that that is coming up for you right now. Yeah, so take a moment and write those down. What's specific to you and which category? So when we observe that we too have played a role in our own grievance story, or in the grievance story that you brought in here where clearly there was a villain. So it was somebody's fault. It's a catastrophic event. It was out of your control. Even that, when we start doing those tickets, and I've asked you to write those tickets out, be clear, be specific, and write at least 10 so there's patterns that emerge. And then especially in that fine section, you might start noticing kind of some retaliatory acts that you take. So personally, I have two go-tos. If somebody wrongs me, then one of the retaliatory acts that I might take up is an icing out, a shunning, a shutting down, silent treatment, perhaps. So throughout my adult life, I can think of many, many instances where I've just cut people off, or I have this perception of harm or pain that this person might be doing. And instead of engaging in courageous conversations or a dialogue or pursuing that any further, I'm just like, nope. And I do the equivalent of deleting and blocking in my personal life. And this is before deleting and blocking was a thing. Yeah. Or I go on the other end of a hostile rampage. So I used to be like a yeller. So I would just let people know how crap they are. I would just weaponize words and just be throwing them as daggers. So when I do that, I never feel good at the end of it. I never feel good at the end of it. So even if it's a story that started off with somebody else as the main villain, somehow I've entangled myself and I can see, oh God, Joey, why are you doing that? Why do you do that? Why do you keep doing that? And so things that might be important to me is living up to certain values, of integrity, honesty, responsibility. And then when I behave in the way that I've just described, then I'm not living up to that. And so I myself have now started playing a part, that role of a villain in this grievance story. So it has this way of kind of combining, where does me being a villain start and end, and where is somebody else's responsibility for the way that I feel. And then when I notice that, then I do notice in the self-attacking thoughts, words, and actions. So some of my self-attacking thoughts are, God, Joey, you just suck. You can't ever talk rationally with people. And so that's what I'm saying to you right now. But the self-attacks in my mind might be really, really harsh and really persistent. We have thousands of thoughts that go through our minds in any given day. And a lot of them tend to be negatively biased, and a lot of them tend to be on repeat. It's not like we're coming up with thousands of new thoughts a day. It's all on repeat. So these self-attacking thoughts are playing in a constant loop in my mind, and it has a way of eroding away at self-esteem. And then actions start following it. I used to then soothe those thoughts, or I don't want to think anymore. And then I would create more self-harming behaviors. And for me, I used to eat a lot. So eating was my coping mechanism. So gaining lots and lots of weight in terms of eating. And then there's another thing that I can beat myself about because I don't have good coping mechanisms. So it's like this never-ending cycle of behavior, self-talk that makes me feel bad. And so then I try to cope and then I feel bad. So then if you've lived any kind of time on this earth, then you can see this kind of snowballing impact of the self-attack, low self-esteem. Then my words and behaviors don't rise up to the values that I speak of. So you can see the self-perpetuating thing. Yeah. So do you hear or have or feel self-attacking thoughts specific to your grievance story that you've brought up at week 1 and 2? Yeah. So notice those for yourself. And maybe you want to put it to words. So the same way that we did with our revenge fantasies, getting it out onto words, and then do something with it, rip it up, burn it up, destroy it if you need to. But it's getting it out of your mind and doing something tangible, that embodied practice, whatever that might look like for you. So for me, really being clear, like every time I heard a self-attacking thought, I would write that out so I could see, oh, man, would I ever say this to my best friend? Would I ever say this to somebody I love, right? Most of that tends to be no. And here I am attacking myself with it again and again. And then remembering that there's not a whole lot of evidence out there that shows that we can beat ourselves up into behaving and feeling better. No. It is through heart-centered mindfulness practice that we can start to feel some sort of relief. So paying attention to and focusing on goodness, gratitude, the positive intentions. Every time I hear self-attacking thoughts, to not lean into that and to go, what's good around here, right? Um, it helps loosen that toxicity within me. And then now that I have more room and more energy, then perhaps I can go on. So specific to self-forgiveness, I want to talk about positive intentions. So positive intentions are those intentions that are noble and good, that drove a behavior just before everything going to shit. Yeah. So think about this for a moment. Like the positive intentions that I hear a lot if I'm working with teens is like one for, you can't talk about my mama, right? You can't talk about my mom's like that. You can't talk about my mom. You can't talk about my sister. I can talk about my sister like that, but you can't. So the positive intention there, I see this huge desire that is noble and good to protect your family. How awesome is that? That's fantastic. The desire to protect your family just before everything goes to crap, right? Because can you see how that could turn into a fight? How many people are behind bars because that positive intention went awry? The desire to protect your family goes one step too far. Yeah. Does it change the fact that that's a noble intention to protect one's family? I mean, who among us doesn't want to protect our family? So it is identifying your positive intention just before it got wrong. Because, here's another one that I hear quite often. I really want love, but men suck. And so that's why I blah, 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 blah. And I never want to get into X, Y, and Z. So we'll start off with that positive intention and then go off the rails in indictments for why all the things, how we locate all the things that have gone wrong and bad in our lives. So here's the key. Identify your positive intention, full stop, no buts, big or small. So it's my positive intention in this situation is that I really have a desire to show up with love. Full stop. Not the last time when showing up with love sent you off the rails. Not the last time somebody took advantage of you. Not the last time. It's full stop. I want to show up with love. Full stop. Yeah. So locate your positive intention. What other motivations are noble and good that exist within you just before things went wrong, just before it turned into a grievance story? So spend some time locate that. Once we find our positive intention, we have located the good part of our behavior, even if it ended badly and created a situation where we suffered and may still suffer. So if this is an ongoing story for you, then you might have this great resistance to come up. Yeah, but love stinks. Yeah, so notice that resistance and try not to add those words. Some of us just talk too much, even in our minds, talk too much. Yeah, so full stop, sentence, stop. Locating this goodness softens our sense of self and of others. So locating, I just want to show up with love. This is the point where we can really start to let go of our anger and self-loathing. If you don't let yourself trail off into your story of suffering again, we are the stories we tell ourselves. So can you full stop at your positive intention? No buts. When we soften up on ourselves, we soften up on others. No buts, big or small. So your job this week, should you love homework and you've been doing these homework assignments, is to locate your positive intention in your grievance story where you showed up as the villain. Locate your positive intention. Write that statement out. Full stop. And then for the remainder of the week, maybe once a day, twice a day, perhaps, beginning at the end of the day, read that positive intention statement out loud. Full stop. Just sit there with yourself after reading that statement. Now, I promise that this wouldn't be like the woohoo, just peace and love, baby kind of workshop. Like this is like tangible and concrete. So when you bring that statement back next year, we will conclude with something concrete and tangible. But this is where we need to start. So softening up on ourselves is how we soften up on others. We cannot give that which we do not have. So if we don't have compassion for ourselves and a willingness to soften up on ourselves and a willingness to hold our heart tenderly and be kind to ourselves when we practice, then how can we possibly do that for others? So let me know how this is going for you guys. Yeah. Let me know if you've been doing the homework, how it's been going. Do you have questions? Are you getting more clarity on what this workshop is all about? And does this make you want to join one so that you can talk this out with a facilitator as well as your group members? Because that's where the real magic is. So how, like observing and hearing and being present for how others apply these steps and how you can see others traveling from their head space down to their heart space and what that really looks like when it's not done in this kind of hippy dippy way. So I look forward to hearing some feedback from you guys and also seeing you in the workshop. All right, take care. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.